Tell me what you think of my original stand idea called Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. This is something that we've been kind of building over the past couple days. I posted a video that kind of blew up a little bit and people were really excited to give feedback with the original idea. So first, I'm going to explain what the concept is, how the stand works, and what its abilities are. Then I'll show you some artistic interpretations of the design idea that I originally described in the first video. And then we'll kind of walk through some offensive and defensive capabilities, as well as what the Requiem would kind of be like and how that would work. Okay, here we go. Let me explain what it does. First, it has two abilities, and visually the stand is split right down the middle. The first side is called Beautiful Dark, and Beautiful Dark can completely take any one of your five senses. Well, not take it, it can turn it off. It can turn off any one of your five senses. So that stand is short range, but essentially if it touches you or if you become the target and it's triggered, literally your sense of whatever I choose just becomes static. That's it. That's all you perceive through that sense. The other half ability is called Twisted Fantasy. And Twisted Fantasy has the ability to take one of your senses and move it so that it is experienced from a different perspective. So for example, if I took your sense of vision, I could take it from you and like touch this wall, and then you would see from the perspective of the wall, right? Okay, that's the second ability. So Beautiful Dark and Twisted Fantasy. Now, for the visual. This looks so cool. Okay, so we got a couple of artistic illustrations of kind of what this looked like, but what I described originally was that Beautiful Dark essentially was just like, it was just a void. It was like a darkness, a nothingness, just like a walking, like, emptiness. It's like just abysmal, like there's just nothing. It's like television static. So, and then for Twisted Fantasy is supposed to look like a really biblically accurate angel. So like a bunch of eyes everywhere. I see like a lot of wings, like long, beautiful hair. It's like glowing, glistening, like truly like as antithetical to Beautiful Dark as you could like possibly think, but with like angel vibes. Here, let me show you. Here are a couple of different interpretations. They all look super, super cool. Just look at these, man. Like a lot of them take into account the duality really well, but I think a lot of them also execute the idea of like the abysmalness of Beautiful Dark as compared to Twisted Fantasy. So they're just like, so sick. So just how cool. Okay, now application of power. So a lot of people I think have been a bit confused, or they feel like the stand is underpowered in a way, because I think they're making some incorrect assumptions. First of all, the stand is not super powerful, and technically it can only operate in each half. So depending on which ability I'm using, that is the only part of the stand that comes forth, which I think would look crazy already. But that said, its ability can be used on multiple enemy stand users at once. But only one sense can be targeted on every target. And only one of the abilities, either Beautiful Dark or Twisted Fantasy, can be active on one individual at one time. But at the same time, the senses and the abilities can also be switched or triggered or flipped as long as a target was actively active. And to maintain a target's activeness, you'd have to touch it. And Beautiful Dark has a shorter range touch-wise because the ability to just take someone's sense is insane. So that one has to be a little bit closer. But as soon as it touches you, as long as you stay in the line of sight of the user, then I can mess with any of their senses just at a whim. That said, for Twisted Fantasy's range is a bit longer, and Twisted Fantasy has wings, so like I guess it makes sense for it to be like longer distance reaching. And that's mainly also because Twisted Fantasy needs to be able to achieve vantage points to switch senses that can't be switched that can't be reached normally. But Twisted Fantasy's range is probably like slightly long, maybe like double the length of a short range stand. Twisted Fantasy has like twice that range of ability to touch or impact a sense. It can also only be used on up to 5 stand users at a time. I thought that was fair. Like, if you could do more than that, it's kind of a bit much. But thinking about using them in accordance with one another, right? Check it. So, 1, you can use the ability on not only enemy stand users, but also on yourself or your team. So, for example, I said that you have to stay in the line of sight of somebody to keep the trigger on. Dude, what if you're in a room full of enemy stand users and you just transfer your own eye to the corner of the room, which 1, they likely won't detect as being there. 2, you now have a visual on every enemy in the room all at the same time, and no matter where you go or what your body is situated like, you still have the visual, which means that your ability is still potentially effective. For other stats, it's not a super strong like power stand, but kind of similar to Golden Experience, like intensity and consistency. It's very, very fast, very, very fast stand. You can really mess up like an already weakened enemy user. Just from the speed and the rapidness of your hitting them. Granted, you're not slapping huge punches with the stand at least, but it's still worthwhile. You know, like if you hit a 7-page Muda with this stand, like whoever's on the other side of that is just getting wrecked. But granted, they would have to be kind of weakened somehow to be able to like have that upper hand on them at that moment. But that's the whole point of the creative usage of the stand, right? Here, let me walk through a couple more examples of really cool ways that it can be utilized. One, you can attach it to other living things. So if you needed the perspective of a small animal or something, you could transfer a sense to that small animal as well. Additionally, when the sense is placed somewhere else, it can be damaged. And that damage will impact the user as though it's actively happening to their physical being. So for example, if I switched your sense of touch to the ground, and then I had a dog like poop on the poop where your sense of taste is, you're gonna experience like just poop in your mouth, bro. Like you're gonna be retching all over the place. It's gonna be crazy. Or I put your ear, or your sense of hearing on a wall, like boom, I hit the wall, you're crazily discombobulated. And no matter what you do, when one of your senses is moved, you cannot turn off its perception. So for example, if I take one of your eyes and put it on a wall, you can't just close your eye, obviously. Like it's going to perceive that whole time. Hearing, you can also use it for really great recon moments as well. Like one, you can put your eye or your vision or your sight or whatever on one of your partners. So now you're seeing one of their perspectives at any given moment. Or you can put your sense of hearing like underneath the table, and now you can hear everything that is taking place in proximity to that location. So boom, like recon is dummy. Another great example for Twisted Fantasy is that you can basically turn almost anything or anyone into a voodoo doll, bro. Check it. If you take someone's sense of touch and you switch it somewhere else, remember, they absorb the damage from whatever pain or damage is incurred to that space. Granted, to nerf it and make it so you can't just like kill somebody by crushing a bug that's like way too OP, you can't like you can damage the sense or the circumstance, but you can't destroy it. It cannot be damaged beyond repair. But even so, like that's still huge. So like if I put your sense of touch, like I said, on a bug and I crush the bug, well, you're gonna experience like super intense pain, right? This stand user could also be like super stealth as well. So let's say he turns off your sense of feeling or your sense of touch and then stabs you. All of a sudden, like, they just start responding physically to, like, because their organs and their heart are shutting down because they're bleeding out, and they have no idea, like, where their damage is even incurred from. Then, as soon as they seem to be able to, like, get near you or focus on you or understand where you, the stand user, are, boom, you turn on their ability to feel, and now they're responding to that pain that they didn't even recognize before. Dude, it could just be used so creatively. Very, like, Butterati-esque, like, sticky fingers, like, you have to be, like, really smart stand user-wise, but, like, if you are, this is crazy, crazy, crazy strong. Some people have also asked, what's the point of having both abilities when some people think that one or the other is better? And it's more like versatility. Well, first of all, it's part of the artistic vision of the stand. Partially, it's inspired by Kanye West, and I like to capture like the duality of his bipolar disorder. And I think this is a really cool way to exemplify it in like a power and ability is the opposing two. But that said, you don't always need one or the other. Like you don't always need to switch somebody's sense. Sometimes it's just convenient enough, or it's just effective enough to just turn it on. Like, I would imagine like the stand user they're not super strong either, but they could be, and this could be like a way to combat the fact that the stand is kind of weak, but they're like pretty good with like hand-to-hand combat, and they're pretty fast on their own. So if you're in the middle of a fight, even if you feel like you have a disadvantage, you could just strategically think of a time or opportunity to turn off one of your enemy user's abilities, and just that experience alone, bro, if you're in the middle of a fight and all of a sudden you just can't see, you just see static for no reason, like that's insane. Like you just the moment that it would take for you to adjust to your new reality, no matter who or what kind of user you are, bro, you have to react, which gives the person who inflicted that ability an obvious advantage over the situation. So that's what we're at abilities wise. I guess I gotta do another video for the Requiem because this is getting really long, but this is This is getting so cool, you guys, and everybody who's given feedback has just continued to make this idea sicker and sicker and sicker. Let's keep going. We're close to making it perfect, and we almost got a beautiful visual, so thank you. Share this with your homies who are cool about JoJo's. Share it to anybody else you know that had commented on the previous video. I'll try to tag some people here if I can. We're getting somewhere pretty sick, dude.